There's a version of this video that blames Airbnb for the housing crisis. That version gets a lot of clicks. It's also incomplete. Short-term rentals have a real impact on housing markets. The data is clear. They are also not the primary cause of the housing crisis. Both of those things are true at the same time. That's what this video is about. Let's start with what the research shows. A 2019 Harvard study found that a 1% increase in Airbnb listings in a neighborhood corresponds to roughly a 0.018% increase in rents and a 0.026% increase in home prices. Small numbers, but they compound, and they concentrate in specific types of neighborhoods. Tourist-heavy neighborhoods and desirable urban centers see the sharpest effects. In cities like Barcelona, Lisbon, Amsterdam, and New Orleans, short-term rental concentrations are high enough that researchers document meaningful displacement effects in specific areas. Long-term residents, often lower income, lose access to neighborhoods they've lived in for decades. This is real. It's documented. It matters. It is also not the primary driver of housing costs in most of the Western world. Airbnb listings in the United States represent roughly 1% of the total housing stock. The housing shortage in the US is estimated by 3 to 7 million units. If every single Airbnb in America returned to the long-term rental market tomorrow, it would not come close to closing the housing gap. In most cities, the primary drivers of housing costs are restrictive zoning, insufficient new construction, rising land costs, wage stagnation, and institutional investment at scale. Short-term rentals sit below all of those in terms of total impact on supply. That doesn't mean they're harmless. It means focusing primarily on Airbnb is a way of directing attention toward a visible, emotionally resonant target while leaving the larger structural problems untouched. Short-term rentals cause the most harm in specific conditions. Small housing markets with heavy tourism, like beach towns, ski resorts, and historic city centers. In these places, a high percentage of homes being converted to short-term rentals can genuinely hollow out the residential community. Workers who staff the hotels, restaurants, and services of tourist economies cannot find housing near their work. They commute extreme distances, or leave, or the service economy collapses. This is the genuine short-term rental housing crisis, localized, severe, and requiring localized policy responses. Not a national ban on Airbnb, targeted regulation in the specific markets where the impact is structural. Several cities have implemented targeted short-term rental regulation with measurable results. Barcelona introduced strict limits to new short-term rental licenses in tourist-dense areas and enforced illegal listings. Rental prices in regulated neighborhoods stabilized faster than in unrestricted areas. New York City's Local Law 18 requires short-term rental hosts to be present during guest stays and limits rentals to 1 unit. Short-term rentals fell by over 80% in the first months. Long-term rental listings increased. Amsterdam introduced a cap on the number of nights per year a home can be rented short-term, allowing individual homeowners to participate while preventing full-time investor-operated units. The pattern is clear. Targeted rules in high-impact markets restore housing to long-term use. Blanket bans in markets where short-term rentals are not the primary driver waste political energy and generate backlash without proportionate results. Here's what worries me about the Airbnb narrative. It is politically useful to make short-term rentals the villain of the housing crisis because that villain is visible. It has an app. People can point to it. Restricting it feels like doing something, and it generates popular support without confronting the harder structural problems. Zoning reform is invisible and technical and makes powerful incumbent homeowners angry. Challenging institutional investment by billion-dollar real estate funds requires political capital. Building public housing at scale requires sustained fiscal commitment. Banning Airbnb in cities where it represents 1% of the housing stock is easy.
Solving the structural housing crisis is hard. Be suspicious when politicians and media focus on the easy target. Ask what they're not talking about. Short-term rentals have a real impact in specific markets, but they are not the primary cause of the crisis overall. Regulate them where the impact is structural. Don't make them the exit from the harder conversation. Next video, institutional housing investment, how it's actually changing neighborhoods and what the data says. Subscribe.